The episode begins with G. Gordon Godfrey's interview with the United Nations Secretary General Lex about the United Nations Climate Conference in the city of Biwandasa. Beside Luthor are Zviad Bozovi, a Soviet spymaster, Simon Mbera, Biwanda's general, and Garth. As they take the photo opus for the summit, darts suddenly appear from nowhere and hit Garth. He collapses. In a nearby hotel room, Troya is talking with her sister Wonder Woman on her laptop when her head suddenly aches and a helmeted assassin enters through the window. The assassin smashes her onto the couch where she immediately loses consciousness. With a blade, the assassin slowly approaches Troya, but Halo unveils her hologram, hiding both her and Terra, and attacks the assassin. More assassin arrives and attacks everyone in the photo opus. One of them declares to speak for the Biwandan Independent Force against Lex and the United Nations for allowing General Mbera to conduct talks at Biwandasa. Beast Boy, who spies on them in the form of a lizard, steps in and orders everyone to get clear. A fight ensues. Lex, hiding with General Mbera, asks for permission on something which Mbera immediately confirms. Meanwhile, Ed, now known by his hero name, El Dorado, Wonder Girl, and Kid Flash arrive to aid Beast Boy. Outside Troya's hotel room, Miss Martian finds another BIF member who is responsible for Troya's mental torture and begins a mind link. She wins the mental battle and removes the assassin's helmet, who is revealed to be a woman. Miss Martian then removes the control chip on her neck. Inside the room, Terra tosses rocks at the assassin who counters her attack with daggers. Halo uses a shield to protect Terra and emits a blinding light to distract the assassin while she helps Troya off the couch. She then assures Wonder Woman that she and Terra will protect Troya. The assassin recovers and attacks again. Terra tries to stop the assassin, but her attacks get deflected. The assassin charges at Terra with a blade, but Halo steps in and gets her throat slashed. Terra controls a stone mask and slams it onto the assassin before tending to Halo, who heals herself almost instantly. Troya wakes up and the assassin tries to attack once again, but Troya manages to send her flying with a punch. The assassin then escapes through the window. Outside the hotel, Beast Boy attacks one of the assassins who try to shoot Garth while Kid Flash catches a dart from the other assassin. The dart detonates and sends him flying to a wall. El Dorado teleports just in time to save Kid Flash. When Godfrey is about to get hit by a dart, Flash arrives and catches the dart. Flash hastily defeats the remaining assassins and reports to the Watchtower the situation has been averted, thanks to the outsiders who, according to him, assisted him. Twa descends and says that the Justice League was banned from Biwanda, so why is Flash there? Lex explains that he called the Justice League with General Mbera's permission and proceeds to emphasize to the camera that the system works. He implies that the outsiders illegally entered Biwanda and proceeds to thank Flash publicly. The heroes depart aboard the bio ship. While on their way, Leah Briggs, the woman Miss Martian saves from the control device at the hotel, explains that she cannot control herself. Beast Boy then comments that the ambush was well planned and how Luthor managed to call in the League. Leah then confirms that Lex indeed set them up. Meanwhile, Cassandra and Lady Shiva are aboard a plane recovering from their fight at the conference. Cassandra talks with Lex through a laptop, expressing her concerns that the outsiders may know that Lex is behind the ambush. Lex assures her that knowing is completely different from proving. Meanwhile, the outsiders and the team arrive at the Meta-Human Youth Center. Wonder Girl leads Leah inside to ask for some help. Miss Martian talks with Halo privately and advises her about being impulsive in the battle. As Miss Martian thinks that Halo needs to talk to someone first about what's going on in her mind, she dismisses Halo from the team in the meantime. On the other side, Eduardo SR expresses his worries about seeing his son fight live. He said that a kid was injured and Ed was now one of Lex's targets. He adds that he has spoken with the other outsiders' guardians and they have made a decision. In anger, Ed walks off and asks Halo to boom them away. The rest of the outsiders leave. In their headquarters at the Premier building, as the others play downstairs, Helga approaches Halo and explains that her mentor has yet to find a cure. Just then, Geoforce arrives and asks to talk with Halo alone. Geoforce then confronts Halo for being distant, but Halo just answers that she is a bad girlfriend. She walks away and Helga approaches Geoforce saying that first loves don't seem to last. Meanwhile, Eduardo SR arrives with Jay Garrick and Helena Sandsmark, demanding to talk with the outsiders. But Beast Boy receives a cry out for help from a girl in Dublin, Ireland against Professor Ivo's MONQI. He calls in to get the outsiders ready, but the parents prevent Ed, Wonder Girl, and Kid Flash to go. Geoforce also chooses not to come. As soon as they leave, the parents explain to their children the dangers of being part of a public team. They add that they publicly put a target on them. They fear that their children will be among those in the Watchtower's grotto, kids who never got to live long to experience a full life. Upstairs, Geoforce storms into Halo's room and confronts her for not responding to his message and even avoiding him. Halo finally admits that she kisses her schoolmate, Harper Rowe, on the day she was arrested for possessing a gun. When Halo confirms that she has no feelings for Harper, Geo-Force forgives her and allows them to start over. She then goes outside and asks Terra to come in as they have to hear something important. Beast Boy, Static, and Blue Beetle arrive at a factory in Dublin after Matthew Malone, the father of the girl who posted the MONQL photo, said that his daughter was kidnapped by robotic monkeys. They enter a room full of Lex's spider bots and find themselves surrounded by a group of MONQL. Professor Ivo appears with the girl and orders the MONQL to attack the heroes. Back at the Outsiders' headquarters, Halo explains to both Geo-Force and Terra how Gabrielle Deu was bribed by Henchi to turn off the Markovian royal palace's security system. Gabrielle allows the Bedlam's assassin inside to end the life of the king and queen. Knowing the truth, Geo-Force walks out of the room while Terra begins to get anxious. With her heart pounding, she slowly walks outside and sends a message to Deathstroke informing him that the Outsiders' parents are grounding them. Downstairs, Jay says that being outsiders are too dangerous for them and that the League should have not agreed to it in the first place. Kid Flash assures Jay that he is not going anywhere, but there are meta-teens in the world that need someone to be there for them. Wonder Girl adds they understand that they have crosshairs on them all the time and it's not something new, and there are the meta-teens out there who need to be empowered. They finally manage to convince their parents to trust them. Ed and his father smile at each other. At Dublin, Beast Boy, Blue Beetle, and Static fights the MONQIs in the warehouse and later discover that Ivo is only a robot when the girl hits Ivo over the head. After the fight, Beast Boy carries the girl out of the factory and reunites her with her father. Meanwhile, a video recording of the Outsiders saving the girl goes viral. The scene shifts to G. Gordon Godfrey's show where G. Gordon asks Lex's thoughts. Lex criticizes the Outsiders for being irresponsible when the local authorities could have handled the situation. He adds that their carelessness resulted in damage to property, and reveals he knows that the parents of the Outsiders are also against it. He then suggests a hero registration to keep the heroes in check. However, G. Gordon shows a photo and video of the Outsiders with their parents implying that they are in full support, which clearly irritates Lex. After the show, Lex confronts G. Gordon for not sticking to the script, but G. Gordon advises him not to allow his personal vendetta to cloud his judgment. G. Gordon reveals that he knows the factory in Ireland is a property of LexCorp and that Lex has lost too much in spider bots. He then warns Lex that the attacks on the Outsiders only made them more popular. At Gotham City, Wonder Woman asks the members of the Anti-Light how Lex's publicly annoyed face was achieved. Batman explains that Oracle found Lex's factory in Ireland, so they made a plan. Oracle posted the picture of the MONQI while Batman and Miss Martian pretended to be the father and daughter who needed help from the Outsiders. Batman adds that Robin salvaged the MONQL from Ivo's former base and deployed them with remote control. He admits that Lex will know that they set that up, but he says that knowing is different from proving. Wonder Woman is surprised, but Batman declares that they are fighting a war. Besides, the Outsiders' popularity is still getting stronger. Wonder Woman points out that they have been lying to their friends and allies, and now they are creating fake scenarios to make their opponents look bad. She asks them to acknowledge that they are crossing a very dangerous line. Everyone remains silent. Meanwhile, at the premiere building, Violet is alone sitting at her desk and begins writing something on a piece of paper. On the next episode, Victor walks alone on the streets of Hollywood when his phone rings. He answers the call, which turns out to be from his father. He lashes out at Silas for negligence and orders him not to reach out to him again. He hangs up the phone when he suddenly screams in pain and passes out in an alley where Forager later finds him. Forager takes Victor to the premiere building where Helga discovers that the father box has slowly taken over Victor's body. They bring him to the medbay where Superboy calls Dreamer of the Forever People for help. She scans Victor with the mother box and discovers that the only way to save Victor is to plug him into Metron's Mobius chair. Suddenly, Forager informs everyone that Violet is gone and shows them her farewell letter. Tara then explains that Violet has told them that Gabrielle was responsible for the passing of their parents, and her and Brion's reactions might be the reason why Violet ran away. Artemis leaves with Tara to find Violet while the others tend to Victor. Meanwhile, Dreamer lends the mother box to Superboy to find Metron. Superboy opens a boom tube and steps in along with Forager and Black Lightning. They find themselves in the source wall where they see Metron and follow him until they reach the Mimesis ring where they find Superman fighting a group of parademons. They help Superman subdue the parademons, but Superman informs them that the Furies who attacked stole minerals from the mine. Metron appears and informs them that the minerals were the final element Granny Goodness and Desaad needed for their device. Black Lightning gets surprised. Forager asks Metron to save Victor, which Metron refuses at first but agrees when he learns that the father box is taking over Victor's body. Superboy then opens a boom tube going back to Earth with Metron. At Happy Harbor High School, Megan is with Harper Row in her office. She notices a bruise mark on Harper's chest and asks where it came from. Harper says that it was just because of roughhousing with her brother, Cullen. Megan then asks if she knows where Violet had gone, but she swears she doesn't know. At Connor and Megan's house, Artemis and Tara ask Sphere for help. Sphere transforms into Super Cycle in response and they take off to find Violet. Meanwhile, Aquaman brings the guild girl to Poseidonis, where he introduces the girl to King Orin and his parents. They welcome the girl and promise to help her adapt to Atlantis. Back at the premier building, Sela's stone arrives via Zeta Tube, which angers Victor. In his range, the father box starts to spread again, so Helga suggests they put him into a medically induced coma. Silas volunteers to do it himself as he feels he is responsible for Victor's situation. He injects the sedative and Victor falls asleep instantly. Helga's phone suddenly rings and excuses herself to answer the call. At Dabar, Violet goes to Gabrielle's hometown to inform Gabrielle's cousin, Samad, and Gabrielle's mother, Media, that she only has a few months to live. She explains that she has come to the greatest doctors, but nothing can be done, and only went there to say her goodbyes. In the med bay, Connor, Jefferson, and Forager arrive with Metron. However, Metron's intention is not to save Victor, but to watch the father box devour Victor's body, as it is important for his study. Hearing this, Jeff whispers to Superboy that they only need Metron's chair, which leads them to force Metron out of his chair. When Metron knocks Superboy into the wall, Jeff electrocutes Metron and holds him to the ground. Helga and Brianne enter the room, and Jeff tells Brianne to bring Victor into the chair. Meanwhile, after telling Harper that she will do her best to help her and his brother, Megan finally convinces Harper to admit that her dad has been physically abusing them. Harper embraces Megan as she finally reveals the truth. At the Outsiders' headquarters, Brianne helps Helga and Silas place Victor into Metron's chair, and Connor asks the mother box to order the chair to fix Victor. The chair starts connecting itself to Victor, which sends him excruciating pain. Suddenly, a speck of light comes out of Victor's mouth and merges with the chair before the chair releases Victor. Forager mentions that the light must be the father box's soul, like what happened to Halo. Metron confirms that the father box has been purged, and Jeff releases him. Metron sits back on his chair, and before he leaves, Jeff asks if the granny he mentioned earlier was the same as Gretchen Good. Metron responds with both yes and no. He then enters the boom tube without leaving any further information. Victor returns to his bed. He is now stable, so it is time for Silas to leave. Victor finally learns to forgive his father and gets up to embrace him. In Dabar, to give answers to Samad and Media's questions, Violet decides to tell them the truth. Samad lashes out at her as he believes that she is a demon. Media, however, happily accepts the closure Violet gave to her about what happened to Gabrielle. She thanks Violet and kisses Violet's forehead before wishing her peace in her family. Just then, Artemis arrives with Tara aboard the supercycle to get Violet back. Violet and Tara embrace as they reunite. In Happy Harbor, Harper and Cullen are finally free from their abusive father as Megan takes them to Child Protective Services. At Shayris, the guild girl, who has chosen the name Dolphin, happily swims with Calvin and Shalena. From a distance, Aquaman watches when Wyand arrives and kisses him. Meanwhile, at the premier building, Victor patches things up with his father while Forager and Connor watch. Artemis and Tara arrive with Violet, whom Helga immediately hugs. Brianne makes eye contact with Violet. The episode ends as Tara accepts a call from Deathstroke informing him that there is nothing to report, and assures him she will be in contact once she has something. She hangs the phone and smiles as she gazes at the skies. The episode begins outside Gretchen Good's Hollywood mansion. Jefferson Pierce and Dick Grayson lurk in a nearby forest area for the perfect chance to sneak into the mansion as Gretchen Good appears in the premiere of the Good World Studios' newest blockbuster, The Great Con. Dick explains that the mother box senses an apocalyptic tech inside, and their mission is to investigate. Unbeknownst to Jeff, Dick coordinates with Oracle, who helps him bypass the mansion's security. Dick believes the mother box can boom them out if there is any danger. The moment they enter the mansion and close the door, Dick's communication with Oracle cuts off. A peculiar robot senses their presence, and a bright portal opens on the ground and swallows them. Oracle worries that something might happen to Dick and Jeff, as it has been 24 hours since she last heard from them. She calls Aquaman for backup, and because no other Leaguers are available at that time, Aquaman agrees to go, but Wyand insists on coming with him. They reach Gretchen Good's mansion, and Oracle informs them that she can create a diversion to distract Gretchen. However, Aquaman has a different plan. He rings the door and Gretchen invites them to come inside. When the door closes, Oracle's feed cuts off. Cutting to the chase, Aquaman tells her about Dick and Jeff and asks to let them pick up their friends. Gretchen agrees and instructs Overlord, the peculiar robot, to bring them to the trespassers. When Oracle loses contact, she then prepares a backup plan herself. Meanwhile, at the Ivy University Hospital, Malcolm Duncan stands beside the hospital bed of his wife, Karen Beecher, who gives birth to a baby girl after a difficult labor. However, the baby has health complications upon birth, signs of cyanosis. Due to heavy snow, the heart surgeon who will perform surgery cannot come to the hospital. Karen insists on doing the procedure herself despite Mal's disapproval. She dons her bumblebee suit and shrinks down to enter the syringe. The assisting nurse injects her into her daughter's body, where she finds a gaping hole in her heart. Back at Gretchen's mansion, Gretchen Good stands with Aquaman and Wyand inside a red cube, descending in a dimension that Gretchen refers to as X-Pit. Outside the cube are Dick and Jeff, who suffers from the torture of the pit. She says that Aquaman and Wyand are free to take both Dick and Jeff, all they have to do is step out of the cube. The moment they make contact with the dimension, they instantly experience its effects. Wyand discovers that their skin icons help alleviate the pit's effects. After fetching their friends and the mother box, Aquaman and Wyand return to the cube and Gretchen orders Overlord to bring them back inside the mansion. However, Gretchen prevents them from leaving as she likes to keep the mother box, but they cannot leave the mother box behind. Gretchen orders Dick and Jeff, now under her thrall, to attack Aquaman and Wyand. Back in the Ivy University Hospital, Karen finishes patching the hole in her daughter's heart and stabilizes the baby. She then cuts the communication and shrinks down to the subatomic level where she can see her daughter's DNA. She takes out a strand of genetic sequence while staring at her daughter's DNA. The genetic sequence is her own genome, added with genes that can enhance the subject's physiology. At the mansion, Jeff attacks Aquaman while Grayson charges toward Wyand. Aquaman holds Jeff in place by locking his hand behind him. Jeff attacks with his black lightning, but it only gets absorbed by Aquaman's Atlantean sorcery. When Gretchen learns that her thralls cannot beat the Atlanteans, she orders Overload to destroy the mother box. A laser cannon emerges from a wall and fires an energy beam at the mother box. At the premier building, Victor Stone and Halo sense the pain of the mother box. Victor opens a boom tube to Beast Boy and Brion's surprise. Victor, Halo, Beast Boy, and Geoforce enter the portal, taking them to Gretchen's mansion. The impact of the portal opening inside the room sends Gretchen stumbling to the ground while Victor immediately destroys the cannon. Halo rushes to heal the mother box before casting a purple aura into Jeff and Dick. She chants a spell that frees both Dick and Jeff from Gretchen's brainwashing. Gretchen gets taken aback by surprise when she recognizes Halo's spell as the Tongue of the Old Gods. Gretchen erupts in anger when she sees Beast Boy and tells him he needs more discipline. She threatens to throw everyone into the X-Pit. But before she can order Overlord, a missile deployed by Oracle breaks through the window panel and lands in front of Gretchen, giving them time to escape. Jeff sees the bat drone before departing through the boom tube created by Victor. Gretchen warns the heroes before the boom tube disappears. She grabs a small blue box on the floor and opens it, revealing the content to be Overlord, the peculiar robot computer that activates the X-Pit. Gretchen comforts the crying Overlord and assures it that everything will be all right. At the hospital, Karen, still dressed as Bumblebee, lies beside her sleeping daughter. Val brings her to the hospital bed where she reverts to human size. He wonders why it took Karen so long inside their daughter's body, which Karen indirectly answers that she did the right thing for their daughter. Back at the premier building, Jeff fully recovers from the effects of the X-Pit, but Dick is in the medbay suffering from the agonizing after effects. Oracle tends to him while Aquaman and Wyand watch them from the hallway. Wyand comments that the surface world seems unappealing, except that Aquaman is there. Meanwhile, Geoforce approaches Violet and apologizes. Helga watches the two as they hug, but she appears to be unhappy. She grabs her phone and types in a text message saying that she needs to get her kids out as soon as possible. In Western Mongolia, Ultra Humanite stares at Helga's text and assures her that the arrangements have been made in response to her request. He tells her to be ready and that he will contact her soon. On the next episode, the Light convenes in Western Mongolia. Gretchen Good explains how the team and the mother box slipped through her hands. Ultra Humanite and Gretchen argue about who among them has the right to Halo. Ultra Humanite says he was the one planning the capture of Halo, which gives him the proper right to her. Vandal Savage honors the Light's tradition and confirms Ultra Humanite's claims silently. Meanwhile, Tara walks along the streets of Hollywood when she gets ambushed. She remembers the night she was kidnapped the same way by Henchy and immediately breaks free. She sees Deathstroke, who confronts her for not providing updates about Victor Stone and Halo. He then accuses her of being soft, which triggers a memory from her training when Deathstroke taught her the hard way. When she says that Victor and Halo are both processing matters, Deathstroke reminds her of all the pain she endured to be where she is today. Deathstroke then gives her something and tells her to use it just in case. At the premier building, Dick is still unable to recover from the pit's side effects. Standing beside his bed are Bruce Wayne, Alfred Pennyworth, Tim Drake, and Barbara Gordon. Helga informs them that Dick's temperature is spiking. Outside, Jeff explains to Aquaman, Megan, and Connor that he doesn't know how he was able to survive the pit, while Dick is still suffering. Bruce approaches by the door and asks to bring ice for Dick. They cover him in ice bags and his temperature stabilizes. The rest of the outsiders arrive. Bruce then asks to talk with Megan and Aquaman. Tim and Barbara follow them into the kitchen. When Helga mentions that only serious moments like that bring everyone together, Jeff begins to process things, from when Batman resigns from the League to when Dick recruits him to be part of the team. He also remembers that a bat drone saves them from Gretchen's mansion. he realizes that the others are all working together, hiding their deed from everyone else. As everyone listens to Jeff's accusations, Tara observes from upstairs when Helga suddenly places a control chip on her neck. Helga orders Tara to stay silent and follow her. Outside the premier building, Helga leads Violet to a car with Tara and Brianne waiting for them inside. Helga says that they already found a cure, and Brianne and Tara are there for support. Violet happily thinks that her illness does not remain a secret anymore. Meanwhile, Jeff continues to yell at Caldier and Bruce in the kitchen as Forager and Victor watch. Everyone else on the team is arguing with the members of the Anti-Light. Barbara admits to Gar that some of their past missions were orchestrated by the Anti-Light for the Outsiders. Caldier tries to apologize to Jeff for everything that happened, but Bruce refuses to as he thinks he put the mission first before anything else. Jeff dismisses that idea and says that their missions are nothing compared to losing themselves. Suddenly, their argument gets interrupted. Alfred leads Dick, who proceeds to say that the person Jeff feels the most anger at is him. In a laboratory, Helga ushers Violet to a chair while Brianne and Tara stand on one side of the room. Ultra-Humanite enters with Gretchen Good and immediately orders Overlord to put Violet on a cerebral leash. Helga then asks to let her go with Brianne and Tara per their agreement, but Ultra-Humanite says she is only free to go when everything is good. Besides, she wants to see what's going to happen with Violet. Gretchen orders Overlord to descend them into the X-Pit to test her theory that Violet is the key to the anti-life equation, an otherworldly equation that allows the user to gain full control over the minds of any sentient beings, without free will. Gretchen pushes Violet out of the red cube, and the mother box immediately reacts to the pit's effects. The ghost dimension used by Gretchen appears to have repolarized the mother box's powers Violet emits from her body. Overlord scans Violet and confirms Gretchen's theory. To further test her theory, Gretchen pushes Helga out of the cube, where she immediately begins to suffer its effects. Violet uses her healing aura to help Helga, which puts her under the anti-life equation, giving Gretchen the power to order Helga without free will. To check, Gretchen commands Helga to tell them her secret. Helga tries to resist at first, but she eventually confesses. She tells them that she only wanted to protect her creations, whom she now refers to as her children, Tara and Brianne. She explains that Tara was abducted by Bedlam first, but when she realized that Tara became a metahuman after the procedure, she considered her as her very own daughter. However, Bedlam took Tara away and she vowed to take revenge, which made her manipulate Brianne into activating his metagene, making him her son. She adds that Gabrielle Deu was also a test subject, but Gabrielle was negative for metagene. Helga tried to end her life with an overdose of morphine, but Gabrielle survived. Helga thought that the morphine activated her metagene, thus Violet became her daughter. However, Helga worried that she lost Brianne and Violet when they were rescued by the team, so she seduced Jeff to stay close to her children. But she learned about Motherbox possessing Violet's body, which made her suspect that Violet is not her daughter. She examined Violet's hair and discovered that Violet is not a metahuman, but only a machine possessing a corpse. She hated Brianne and Violet's relationship, so she made Violet believe that she has an illness to separate the two. She also asked for Ultra-Humanite's help to provide them with a place where she and her children can live and create more metahumans in exchange for Violet. After the confession, Gretchen orders Overlord to take them out of the pit. Gretchen taunts Helga for her confession, which made her children despise her. Tara and Brianne both glare at her, with fury in their eyes. Helga then says she will do anything Gretchen demands, as an effect of the anti-life equation. She tells Ultra-Humanite that she will take Violet to Darkseid, but Tara suddenly removes the control chip from Brianne and reveals that she was able to overcome the effects of the control chip due to the other chip attached to her palm, the thing Deathstroke gave her in their recent encounter. Brianne surrounds Helga, Violet, Gretchen, and Ultra-Humanite with a circle of magma, and Tara lifts the ground. Gretchen orders Violet to protect them. Violet opens a boom tube allowing Gretchen's escape with her. Ultra-Humanite then uses a father box to teleport himself and Helga away, leaving Tara and Brianne alone. At the premier building, Jeff starts looking for Helga the next morning. Gar mentions Helga left with Violet, Brianne, and Tara last night. Just then, Tara and Brianne arrive, both appearing as bearers of bad news. In Mongolia, Deathstroke explains that he gave the antidote chip to Tara for her to easily escape once Helga captured her and Brianne. Ultra-Humanite then explains why Darkseid wanted him to hand Violet over to Gretchen. Violet is the key to the anti-life equation, therefore Darkseid will have control over the entire galaxy. Savage rages and crushes his tablet. Back at the premier building, Jeff leaves when he finally learns about Helga's betrayal, feeling that everyone, even his friends, betrayed him. Meanwhile, at the orphanage, Gretchen Good gives Violet to Granny Goodness. The episode ends as Tara informs Deathstroke that the team is not to be trusted due to their betrayals. She asks Deathstroke what he wants her to do.
The episode begins at Granny Goodness's orphanage. Green Lantern Corps members John Stewart, Guy Gardner, and Hal Jordan launch an all-out attack to trap the orphanage inside a green force field. An elongated man is behind them flying a squadron of ships. Superman, Wonder Woman, Captain Atom, Martian Manhunter, Icon, and Captain Atom fly out into space to get a closer range at the orphanage. Suddenly, the anti-life equation device activates and engulfs them. The entire Justice League passed out. Granny Goodness psychotically laughs to celebrate the success of her device. At the Outsiders' headquarters, the heroes are watching an interview with Gretchen Good, who claims that the Good World Studios was attacked by metahumans. She expresses her disappointment for the betrayal, despite her donations to the Metahuman Youth Center. Garfield Logan turns off the hologram screen in anger. Tigress, who is watching with him, tells him not to let Gretchen get into his head. The topic shifts to Violet's whereabouts. Aquaman suggests that Halo must be nowhere on Earth now that no one can sense her. Dick Grayson, who just recovered from the X-Bits effects, steps out of the med bay and assures everyone they will eventually find Violet. Meanwhile, Superboy argues with Miss Martian about the revelations on the anti-light and says that Meg Gann has broken his trust. He recalls the time when Meg Gann almost fried Calder-HM's brain for Artemis's fake passing, the time when they almost ended up because Meg Gann tried to alter his mind. Meg Gann defends herself, but Superboy adds that lies can alter anyone's mind, or hurt anyone. Suddenly, they receive a call from the doorman saying that there is a man in the lobby who needs to see them. It was Vandal Savage. Vandal Savage stands before the team and declares the reason why he is there. He says he will give them the coordinates to Violet's location, but they have to let the abductor know who sent them. The team prepares to follow Savage's coordinates using the mother box. As Miss Martian cannot reach 13, Nightwing volunteers to come. Aquaman decides to join as well since he promised Barbara he will watch over Nightwing. Superboy then reminds Geoforce to keep his head straight for Violet. Terra joins the rest. Miss Martian creates a psychic link for communication and warns everyone to be alert in case it is a trap. Superboy opens a boom tube going to Savage's coordinates. They enter through the portal and arrive inside the orphanage. There they subdue the patrolling parademons. Superboy activates the mother box to find Halo and it appears that Savage was right. However, Miss Martian cannot mentally link with Halo. Now they have no choice but to split into two squads. Geoforce leads the Beta Squad, Terra and Forager, while the rest of the team, the Alpha Squad, deal with the parademons. The Beta Squad departs with the mother box. Aquaman then notices a javelin in the corner, suggesting that the Justice League was also there. However, they cannot hear any sound of battle. Miss Martian tries to create a mental link with the League to no avail. Nightwing deduces that the League might be captured since Granny can use Halo's power to activate the anti-life equation to gain control over anyone without free will. Superboy hears the approaching parademons and Miss Martian orders the squad to take their battle positions. Meanwhile, Geoforce, Terra, and Forager sneak into the corridors of the orphanage. Geoforce uses the mother box to guide them toward Violet. Forager suddenly hears the sound of enemies approaching, and they immediately hide as the enemies pass by. Forager notices that Mantis is there and cannot believe that Mantis will fight for Apocalypse. Terra informs the Alpha Squad of the approaching enemies before they continue the search. Gelatina leads the parademons as they attack the team. Miss Martian easily evades Gelatina's attack while Superboy knocks down Mantis and Lashina. Tigress and Aquaman deal with the parademons. Enemy reinforcements arrive, but Nightwing's bombs take them out and the explosion causes a blockage that seals the entrance. Nightwing gets distracted by the success of his work when a parademon attacks him, causing a pile of crates to crash over him. When Nightwing tries to get off the crates, a hand reaches out to him and helps him stand. He sees Wally West as Kid Flash. He cannot believe that Wally is there fighting with them. Nightwing is taken back to when he was a kid as Robin, fighting the parademons with Kid Flash. Nightwing hacks the javelin and deploys the drones with his wristwatch. The drones begin firing at the parademons. Kid Flash sits beside him and activates his wristwatch. Together, they fight the enemies in a tournament battle between Granny's pawns and the team. When the battle is over, Kid Flash disappears, and Robin is back to being Nightwing. The rest of the team stands in front of him, telling him that they all experienced Nightwing's fever dream of his memories with Wally through their mental link. Tigress embraces him and tells him they all miss Wally. Aquaman then informs them that the parademons are approaching and tells Nightwing to rest, but Nightwing refuses. He enthusiastically prepares to fight. Meanwhile, Geoforce, Forager, and Terra eventually find Violet beside Granny Goodness in a room. Geoforce calls out to Granny, demanding to hand over Violet to them. Granny tries to taunt Geoforce with all his suffering but Geoforce remains collected. Geoforce informs Forager and Terra that he is only pretending that Granny's words affect him, but their psychic link breaks off when Martian Manhunter suddenly appears. Geoforce tries to strike, but Superman stops him and tosses him toward Terra and Forager. He drops the mother box and Martian Manhunter picks it up. Granny watches in delight as her thralls defeat the heroes. In the corridors, the Alpha Squad are on their way to find the Beta Squad. Miss Martian tells them that she felt John's mind briefly. Nightwing advises them to stand guard against anything that can happen. As they have nothing against the anti-life equation device, Aquaman orders Miss Martian to brain fry everyone including their allies once they reach the control room, but Superboy objects. Miss Martian tells him that is the only way to save the universe. Inside the control room, Granny activates the machine while she orders Overlord to create a protective cube around her in Halo. The machine's effects put everyone under torture. Miss Martian and the team rush in only to get caught up inside the ghost dimension created by the machine. Miss Martian tries hard to keep her concentration, but Granny pushes Violet out of the cube. The Mother Box reacts to the machine's effects and Violet starts to cast a spell that triggers the anti-life equation. Violet's powers engulf everyone inside the room and immediately trap them in a trance. Her powers spread into space as Granny declares the beginning of the Age of Darkseid. On the next episode, while the team is at the orphanage, the rest of the Outsiders are outside one of Good World Studios' buildings aboard the bioship to follow a lead of their own. Victor criticizes Beast Boy for his dry response to Miss Martian, which makes Beast Boy question how he manages to read the text. Victor explains that he once unintentionally intercepted a text message from Violet on Brian's cell phone. However, after he was placed in Metron's chair, he began to understand his cybernetic powers better. He further explains that his mind can now reach out to anything electronic or anything on the web. He became the information superhighway itself and found a lead of an apocalyptic signature on Building 16 of the Good World Studios. He scans the building for any heat signatures before going inside. Meanwhile, Gretchen is inside with the Overlord who sensed their arrival. Gretchen strokes Overlord's box and says that she can sense them as well. They boom into the building and Kid Flash starts to check the entire building, but it appears to be clear, but Victor senses something unusual. With his powers, he turns off the hologram inside the building which reveals a huge peculiar machine in front of them. Scarab informs Blue Beetle that the machine is apocalyptic in origin. Victor attempts to investigate the machine, but a portal opens underneath them and they all fall into the X-Pit where they suffer tremendous torture. El Dorado, who was left in charge of the bioship, hears the others scream. He immediately teleports into the X-Pit to save them, but when he tries to teleport, he only ends up inside the pit. As the Outsiders fight the effects of the pit, a red cube suddenly seizes Beast Boy, which releases him from the pain. Gretchen appears inside another cube and Beast Boy orders her to release his friends. She refuses, but on one condition: if Beast Boy manages to defeat her in a fight. Beast Boy accepts the challenge and the cubes merge into a large cube arena. He transforms into a rhino and attacks Gretchen, but she easily stops him and pins him to the ground. In the ghost dimension, Victor uses his powers to transfer his mind into Overlord's, where he finds himself in his human form. A giant manifestation of Overlord appears. Inside the cube, Beast Boy transforms into several animals to take down Gretchen, but Gretchen sends him crawling every time. In his final attempt, he transforms into a snake and ensnares Gretchen, but his strength is no match to hers. She grabs him and whips him into the ground back and forth. She then slams Beast Boy onto a wall and declares herself the winner, but Beast Boy rises and says that the fight is not over yet. Meanwhile, Overlord creates a digital spear and hurls it at Victor, who gets pierced through his chest. He later discovers that he is alive and realizes that everything in cyberspace is not real. He believes that Overlord is the source of Gretchen's power, so he recalls his cybernetic form and uses his armed cannon to take down Overlord. He jumps on top of Overlord and smashes his arm through its body. The Overlord starts to disintegrate. As Gretchen continuously hammers down Beast Boy, the X-Pit suddenly disappears and they are back inside the studio. Wonder Girl immediately restrains Gretchen with her lasso and Kid Flash ties her up quickly. Victor gets up and approaches the apocalyptic machine. With Blue Beetle, they blast the machine until it explodes. Gretchen screams as she begins to disappear with Overlord. Victor senses their location and immediately opens a boom tube to follow them. El Dorado tries to tell him to wait for them, but the boom tube closes before them. Victor finds himself inside the red cube while Gretchen and Granny Goodness are fusing back together, screeching in pain. Granny falls on her knees as Gretchen completely merges with her body. Vic looks around only to find everyone under Granny's thrall. He sees Violet outside the cube and fires his cannon to destroy the cerebral leash. Violet regains control over her mind. She knows that if she tries to heal everyone, she will only activate the anti-life equation again. She uses all her auras and emits a rainbow-colored light around her body. With all her powers, she releases the League and the team from the anti-life equation's control. Granny erupts in rage and charges at Violet, but Violet manages to trap her inside an energy sphere. Violet asks Victor for help in destroying the anti-life equation machine. Superman and Captain Atom, who just recovered from Granny's thrall, assist them. The machine explodes, but the Green Lanterns manage to contain the explosion inside a green cube. When the machine is destroyed, Overlord completely shuts down. Granny tries to manipulate Violet with her sweet talks and breaks free from the sphere. But Violet sends her flying away and warns Granny not to reconstruct the machine now that she knows how to destroy it. Standing behind Violet, Superboy informs Granny that Vandal Savage was the one who told them the orphanage's coordinates. Granny then escapes using her father box. Geoforce and Halo reunite, while the Green Lanterns escort Granny's pawns away. Miss Martian tells Forager that he can return to New Genesis now that Mantis is captured and her brother, Com, is back on Mars. But if he doesn't want to leave, he is always welcome to Earth, as part of the team. Forager stays silent. Meanwhile, in Apocalypse, Granny kneels before Darkseid and informs him that it was Vandal Savage who destroyed their plans. Darkseid frowns but doesn't say a word. The heroes return to the premier building where Beast Boy and the rest of the Outsiders await their return. Miss Martian informs them that the metahuman prisoners trapped in the orphanage will soon be brought back to Earth by the Justice League. Beast Boy asks about Granny and Victor shows him a hologram recording that shows Gretchen Good and Granny Goodness are only one person. Violet praises Victor for his heroics and Beast Boy starts a poll to determine if Victor should be an outsider, to which everyone agrees. However, Superboy reminds them they should let Victor decide, and even though anyone made something good today, that doesn't mean he is responsible to join any superhero team. Victor expresses his feelings toward the Outsiders and chooses to be one of them. He picks the name Cyborg as his hero name. The episode ends as Lex meets his new team of superheroes, Infinity Inc., in a limo after the team captures a supervillain. Lex smiles as he learns that his team has surpassed the Outsiders in trending polls.